currently right now, and I wanted us to go over this article, and Zuhad has been listening to it, but this is just a piece pulled from that podcast. Sentiment around Bungie's marathon, not great, says Jason Schreier. Bloomberg Jason Schreier shares a troubling outlook on Bungie's marathon, describing the studio's sentiment as not great. Amid recent layoffs and project cancellations, concerns are growing about the game's future. About Marathon's future? The future of Bungie highly anticipated extraction shooter Marathon is looking uncertain, according to Bloomberg's Jason Schreier. During the latest episode of Friends Per Second podcast, Schreier, who has broke major stories about Bungie in the past, didn't mince words when asked about the state of Marathon. Okay, so a direct quote from Schreier here. Not great from what I've heard, Schreier said when asked about the sentiment around Marathon. There's a reason it was planned for this year and slipped a whole year. People that I've talked to are a little pessimistic about it, even hitting its current planned deadline. But we'll see. I don't know exactly when that is. Sometimes in 2025, I'm not sure. Yeah, the sentiment I've heard is not great, at least as of a few months ago. Okay, so he's saying as a few months ago. Look, I do believe that there are some a number of developers working very, very hard on Marathon and who are trying to cook, or possibly actively cooking. I will say, at least from my inner circles, last year, at least the folks that got the playtest Marathon, who a lot of them were Tarkov players, weren't that enthusiastic about it. Now, again, that was last year. Schreier saying that the sentiment that he's heard around this is not great as a few months ago. Let me just say this, though. This game, Marathon, which I'm going to give it a fair shake. We could honestly do like an entire video on just like some of the controversy around that game. Like everything from it being an extraction shooter to then being spun now into a hero extraction shooter, to its game director changing from Christopher Barrett to the gentleman there from Valorant. And then not only that, not even disclosing that the game director had changed until months. Like it was like 6-7 months later that news even hit us. And not that news needs to hit us, but you wouldn't be changing directors if things were peachy. There's always a grown man crying how much the game sucks. It's usually bullshit. I'm not going to believe it. Okay, so here's the thing. Whether it's a grown man or child or man, woman, who cares? Whoever it may be that's playing your game, if they think it sucks, and then the next person thinks it sucks, and the next person believes that person says it sucks, that suddenly the sentiment around that game is that it in fact sucks. And therefore, the return on investment from Bungie's perspective, and also from Sony's, is zip. Good games garner good press because they're good games. I don't think people are just like, I don't believe that the streamers and other players who've gone and played Marathon who had negative things to say about it, what do they get out of that? They don't come out of it taking interviews with Schreier and other people or jump on a YouTube video. They're under NDA lock. Normally this is like in passing conversation. It's like, hey man, what's happened? Oh, you got to play Marathon? Oh yeah. How was it? Oh, dude, I can't tell you much. You know, I'm under NDA. Okay, give me the vibe. How was it? What do you mean, Cross command, people love to hate for him. Okay, Marathon is going to be the greatest game on planet Earth, and I can't wait to fucking play it, guys. Whatever Jason Schreier said in that podcast today, whatever Skill Up and him conversed about, fuck it. Fuck Destiny. All we need is Marathon. I'm super hyped for Marathon. I don't give a fuck what the naysayers say. Who gives a shit? Just a bunch of grown men bitching and moaning about nothing. Nothing. Marathon is the game. Thank you so much. Thank you, chat. Here's the thing. This game could easily be dead on arrival. I don't know if it will be. We got some people in here thinking that we're just being negative for no reason. We're going to have an entire breakdown video on Schreier's comments surrounding, everything he said about Bungie. Adding to the uncertainty, Schreier also revealed that Marathon underwent a significant leadership shakeup in April 2024, with former director Christopher Barrett and the game's executive producer both leaving Bungie. Wait, Christopher Barrett? Like he's officially out? Well, no. Christopher Barrett was still a part of Bungie. He was still, at least to my knowledge, even last year after he was no longer the game director over Marathon, he was still part of Bungie. Following a report from IGN, has been officially confirmed that Joe Ziegler, the former game director of Valorant, has taken the helm as a new game director for Marathon. Under Ziegler's leadership, the creative direction of the game has reportedly shifted, moving away from custom player characters to a more defined, selectable cast of heroes. Again, it's still an extraction shooter. This article is misleading. Everyone's saying, I don't know what you guys are trying to say. Let me get this right. Some of you saying this article is misleading. We'll go listen to the podcast right now. But how is it misleading? Which part of that article was the misleading portion? Schreier did not say the future of Marathon is uncertain. Okay.
I was going to say, what's the temperature check on how Marathon is going?
All right.
Not great from what I've heard. There's a reason that it was planned for this year and slipped a whole year, and people that I've talked to are a little pessimistic about it even hitting its current planned deadline, but we'll see. I don't know exactly when that is, sometime in 2025, I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, the sentiment I've heard is not great around it, at least as of a few months ago.
Okay, right. So, because that was going to be definitely one of my big questions is, have you spoken to anyone that's like, yeah, man, Marathon, wait till you see Marathon. Like, this is it, man. We're ready to go. Like, nothing, no one has said anything close to that.
No, and I'm not sure it's the right bet. Like, it's what, an extraction shooter? Like, so PvP, is there any PvE attached to that? Like, I don't think that that's what a lot of Bungie fans are looking for exactly. So it is kind of a strange bet, at least from my kind of subjective standpoint. The other important thing to note is that Marathon has had a big leadership shakeup. They lost a director a few months ago, got a new director a few months ago, and during this round, their executive producer left the studio as well, so they are going through some changes for sure.
So Marathon's executive producer left during this round of shakeup.
I believe that's. Let me double check the title to make sure that I'm
sure.
Yes. Yeah, oh, well, I guess, okay, so Carrie Guskus, according to LinkedIn at least, she was executive producer until April, so I guess that was the same time that Chris Barrett, who was the director, left, and then she was senior director of development. But yes, she just left. I guess she wasn't EP, she stopped being EP on Marathon in April. But she did just leave as well. So yeah, there's a huge leadership shakeup on that team in April. I guess we'll see what happens there.
And you know, you have your perspective on it as well. Speaking as someone who plays Destiny and obviously talks to a lot of Destiny people, there's not a lot of excitement for Marathon, like within the Destiny community. Like,
there's no excitement. You fuckers, y'all hate that game. And look, I get what your mindset on it, because you're like, Marathon is taking away resources from Destiny. Like, it's negative excitement. It's gone the other way. I would say there is a good portion of Destiny players wanting the downfall of Marathon. I'm gonna give it a fair shake, but I'm just saying.
That's not what we're about at this point. Like, ultimately, Destiny is right now a PvE game. It has this very awkward PvP thing bolted onto it that has essentially decayed over the years because Bungie have not invested in it. So Bungie's fandom right now is a PvE audience, and they're also older, which is something else that came out in the reporting, that the audience who plays Destiny is older. Older PvE focused players are not interested in an extraction shooter. Like, that's just not it. So Bungie really are trying to build an entirely new audience here, and it seems like they're trying to do it with this massive investment, hundreds of people, hundreds of millions of dollars spent, it seems, whereas it would have been far smarter for them to make this a smaller bet and to sort of seed it into the community and build it up over time and prototype it over time. It's just, this seems crazy to me, and I'm crossing my fingers that this is great, because it just seems so risky. You know what I mean? And I would... is there any sense of what would happen, any discussion about what would happen if Marathon didn't pop off? Did anything pop up in those discussions?
I don't want to speculate. Definitely have that conversation with people, but it would be irresponsible for me to be like, well, Bungie's going to shut down if that doesn't happen. The one thing I will say, though, is that this is going to lead to some exclamation points. And if we were streaming right now, there would be some funny faces in chat. But I will say the Marathon story kind of reminds me of Suicide Squad. And the reason for that is because Suicide Squad started development in 2017 when live service was the hot new thing, and because of sunk cost fallacy and because of endless delays and because there wasn't really an interest or willingness in canceling it because they had committed so much money to it, and there was just a belief that, like, all right, we want to get this out, it's going to be cool, it came out and just totally flopped. And I'm worried about Marathon being in a similar situation where it's been in development for a while. It entered development when extraction shooters were super hot. I don't know if that's the case anymore, and now because they've committed so much money and because it was the project that was furthest along as opposed to all their other incubation bets, they are really putting a lot into it, and I'm just not sure there's much of a chance that it will be successful. But then again, you never know. Like, if you had asked me if you had asked me in January, like I would have been like, yeah, Helldivers 2, that game is gonna tank so friggin' hard. It looks like a disaster. And of course,
it didn't look good.
It turned out to be the biggest thing ever. So that's why I like to report and not so much to make prognostications. But still, it doesn't like give me the best vibes when I hear about that. Although I did have, to your point, Ralph, this is my aged Destiny fan speaking, but I did have lots of good times with Trials of Osiris back in the day.
Sure.
Okay, let me just say this. You guys just busted my balls for reading this article. Y'all were like, no, you're missing context. What Jason Schreier said about Marathon wasn't that bad. Go watch the podcast. I just walked away from that podcast feeling worse than how I felt just reading this article. Just reading this article made me go, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But the fact that he said the words, hey, it reminds me of Suicide Squad, I now feel substantially worse about the future of Marathon than I did 25 minutes ago. We'll be doing a complete breakdown, by the way, on that podcast. And please check. This is such a wonderful, I fucking love Ralph and them, man. Ralph does such a fantastic job. This is on SkillUp's channel. We'll have links to all this, so please go check it out. And as far as my thoughts, by the way, on a Marathon, I don't know, guys. I don't know, man. Here's what I don't want to happen. You know, Bungie really wants to push Marathon out. What I don't want to happen is if Marathon is going to sink, by God, don't drag Destiny down with you. Okay? That's it. Marathon is going to sink, then sink, damn it. Don't drag Destiny with you. I don't know, though. Here's the thing. I haven't played Marathon. I know a few people that have. Last year, I heard a lot more negative things said about Marathon. This year, and I haven't heard overwhelming positive responses, but I haven't heard overwhelmingly negative either. So, we'll see. I will say, though, whether it's video games, a movie, when you see producers and directors leave or get let go and all those things, you have big leadership changes like that from the very top, that is a worrisome sign. That is a worrisome sign, without a doubt.
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.